It is my pleasure to call to order Harris County Improvement District Number 1, February 23rd, 2022. The next item of business is to ask if we have any members of the public present on Zoom and to introduce themselves, please.
This is Margaret Dunlap with Metro. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
My name is Lori Castle, and I'm the office manager at St. Philip Presbyterian Church.
Thanks for joining us. Do we have any board members attending by Zoom? Okay, if I could remind the Zoomers to please stay on mute until you wish to speak, that would be most helpful. And then do we have any comments from the public via Zoom or in person? I don't think we have any speakers signed up. And so that moves us on to approval of the minutes from last meeting, which were sent out and are in our books.
One page.
Is there a second? All those in favor? Okay, the minutes are approved. Our next item is review of the quarterly investment report, and Shannon Daniels, if you could help us with that, please.
Okay, thank you. On page 3, behind tab 2, starts the first page of our quarterly investment report. That is from October 1st through December 31st, 2021. This page just kind of outlines the balances in the 3 funds. Our operating fund at the end of the period, it was just over 3.3 million. Our capital projects fund at the end of the period was just over 1.4 million. And our debt service fund was just over 500,000. The next page of this report outlines those balances that require collateral and or investments. And you can see with PNC Bank, we have just over $1 million in deposits, and we are sufficiently collateralized with FDIC and federal agency funds that serve as collateral. With our primary depository, which is Capital One Bank, we had just over $4.2 million in deposits, and those were requiring collateral, and you can see that we're sufficiently collateralized there. And then Regions Bank was just some miscellaneous funds from where they were investing some proceeds. And after this reporting period, that had been moved into a deposit account. The middle section talks about compliance training. Your investment officer and any supporting staff are required to have 10 hours of training every 2 years. Currently, we're in compliance. However, we are due for training this year in 2022. And then lastly, it's just a list of those approved brokers, dealers, and banks that we work with. Are there questions or concerns for this reporting period for our quarterly investment report? Again, they're all demand deposits that require collateral. We're not in any investments, and it's pretty vanilla. Questions or concerns?
If there's no questions or concerns on that issue, could you take us on to the quarterly budget report, please?
Okay, thank you. Page 5 is the operating budget report for the district. That second quarter, the first 3 columns kind of looks at what we've spent actually from October to December, what we projected to spend, and the percent of budget. Ideally, that would be about 100% if we were accurate, spot on. Some items are a little hot depending on the timing or when we paid those invoices. Overall, I think you can see we were just at 100% for net revenues over under expenditures as we projected. And those last 3 columns kind of look at where we are year to date at the printing of this report. For revenues, you see that we were at 3.9 million with a budget of 6.1 million. And I can report that as of today, we are at 5.2. So we're just a little bit shy of what we are projecting to spend, and we're all hoping that we get those funds in by the end of this month, mid of March, which is usually when those tax receipts come in. As far as the expenditures, we're a little hot in some areas, not so much in others, but we're still hoping to come in, just at the budgeted area. If you have questions about any particular line item, please feel free to ask, and I can get you a little bit more information or detailed explanation. Page 6 is our capital budget for the district, and it looks at what we're doing in our capital projects fund. You can see that our overall capital budget projected spend was 5.8 million. At the printing of this report, we had spent just 1.7. However, we are starting to make some inroads in the intersection rings where we've made a deposit of there. That's a $4.5 million item. We're starting design for some other things that we have in terms of the parks. We're finishing up the POB sidewalk in front of Aspire and Fairdale. So at the next reporting, you'll see that we're starting to spend those capital funds. And if you recall, we did do a bank deal with PNC Bank. And so we expect those proceeds to fund actually tomorrow to the tune of $10 million, which will help us complete the projects that we have on our capital schedule. Are there questions or concerns about any of this?
If there's no more discussion on that, thank you, Shannon.
Thank you.
It's just for review purposes. We don't need a vote. Our next item is to adopt a resolution concerning exemption of residents' homesteads from taxation on page 7 under the same tab 2.
Chairman, if I might, for Stephen, just because I think Brad made it in just under the timeframe and you got all this together. Welcome, Brad Denniston.
Oh, thank you. I
to
appreciate
the,
that.
Board meeting. Brad has shown his willingness to serve. And as soon as we get the state of Texas to complete all the paperwork, he will be we can count your vote, which that's the good thing.
Perfect.
Thank you very much for being here.
May we all aspire to join you.
Thank you. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
that.
Thank you.
Yeah,
By the
looking
way,
forward to being
it
involved.
took a while. How long did I have to wait? Like 9 years, but it's still. And I get to leave, so
Sure.
sorry about that.
But Brad-
We didn't tell you that part, did we?
And I think, Brad, you have a little opening ceremony for a nice building in uptown.
We do. Yeah. Yeah,
Congratulations.
When did you get your certificate of occupancy?
We got we CO'd by 4. We got the initial one in late November, just after Thanksgiving, and we actually got level 40, which was the final yesterday. So,
Congratulations.
yeah,
It's
thank
beautiful.
you. I appreciate that.
Really
Thank you.
does. It's a beautiful.
Thanks. Yeah, come see it.
All right.
Careful, we may all come.
Stephen, you wanna go ahead and lead us item number 7.
Sure. On page 7 is a resolution concerning exemption from taxation. This has to be renewed every year. The district has traditionally granted a $15,000 exception for disabled people and people over 65 and a blanket 20% on all homesteads. That's unchanged. And I would ask that the board consider approval of the resolution on page 7.
Okay, do we have a motion? Do we have a second? All those in favor? Okay, motion carries. That takes us up to the next item. Stephen, could you help us with that?
Page 8 is the other tax resolution we have to do this time every year. This one attaches a 20% penalty on delinquent taxes to defray the cost of their collection. And that conforms with what the county does. The county collects our taxes. We use the same delinquent tax attorneys, and this is just something you have to do in order to attach that penalty and help pay to collect the delinquent taxes.
Is there any discussion? Not, is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Okay, motion carries. That takes us on to the item on page 9.
And this is the final item that we do this time every year. This is John Breeding's memorandum of disclosure as investment officer. And he's actually disclosing that he has nothing to disclose. So he doesn't meet any of the requirements for disclosure, but he still has to file it. Yes.
Well, if I may I request a motion to accept the memorandum? So the disclosure of no disclosure.
Yeah.
Is there a second? All those in favor? Okay, motion carries. That takes us on to page 10, the district's investment policy. Candy, could you help us with that?
John, when we're sharing our screen, I have to.
Okay, go ahead if you would. What's that? There you go.
Yes,
Shannon?
sir. Thank you. Each year, the board is required to review and approve the investment policy as stated by law. Most of the times, if we try to present this table to let you know the sections and what goes on in each section and whether or not we propose any changes. As you can see, we're not suggesting any changes to this policy. It's the same as approved last year, but it is required to be reviewed every year. You can see section 801 requires an annual review. If there are questions or concerns about what's in the policy, we'd be happy to address that. But again, we have not made any changes yet. We are required to review it every year.
In your left pocket of your board package, you'll find the sheet that is Shannon has on the screen right now, so that you can consider it with more detail.
And the policy itself is on page 10.
The entire policy.
There's any discussion? Might I request a motion to approve the policy? Second? All those in favor? Okay, motion carries. That takes us to a update on projects, please.
Ready, if you will lead us, please.
Sure. So at our last board meeting, you all asked us to come to you about, well, maybe it was 2 board meetings ago, about the graphics for our safety patrol vehicles. And today we're here to talk to you about how we're getting to those graphics. First, ensuring that these vehicles are highly recognizable and that they do have that authoritative, commanding look. And I guess because in the past we do have that more friendly, approachable look, and then also reflecting upon the Uptown brand. And then right now we're just going to take you through a really quick journey of how we came to the brand that we're in. And considering that, we consider all of the elements on the boulevard and around Uptown, the stainless steel arches and the rings and the iconic flowers that people love so much, the garden feel, and even more particularly or specifically is the lattice work and this design element that carries through our pedestrian lights, and in the evenings how they glow so brightly, and during the day it's a prominent look at this lattice feel through the sidewalks. That was carried through to our stations and on these on all of the columns that you see here. During the day and at night, you can see this great design element on the columns and bus stations. And so again, taking all of that in mind, this is where we came to the Uptown brand and our logo. And this logo can be used in many different ways, with the color behind it on t-shirts and with this, with a bright stainless steel look, etched on glass and embossed and in ads. It's really a prominent logo. Again, keeping these objectives in mind, we also use for our own business suite, as you'll see on the cards and the business cards that we have, letterhead, you all have that in your own branding. But considering all of these elements, and again, considering that we need this vehicle, lately with some of the crime that seems to be happening all over Houston, something that's a little more authoritative and commanding look and reflecting that Uptown brand. And these are some of the designs that we have come up with. They're real similar in their look. Oh, you have the little.
Oh, you need the point?
Yeah, the pointer. And so one thing that was suggested that we have a dark, using a dark look here in the front in this first image. And again, we carry our lattice work in the back, if you can see here. We pick up this here. It may be hard to see, but this would be like the stainless steel look. Again, it's still part of the branding of Uptown. And again, though, it's a design that may make people look or think twice about. We go to the second one. It's a very similar look, though the black is towards the back. And even in the third element, we bring in more of the stainless steel type of look here. Again, it's all the same design, just different uses of the color. And a couple of other views we have here. This is looking on top. Again, most of these are the same. Some of the differences here is this front, the front end, but on number 1 and 3, they're the same. And this is the front look. If you'll see number 1 and 3 basically is the same. These lights are, the lights are on this one, they're not on this one, but again, the front of the vehicle is essentially the same. And this is taking a look at each one of the designs all in one graphic here. So you have each side, the top and the front and the back.
Though you have some of the other agencies around town that,
And currently, this is the design of our patrol vehicle.
much more neighborhood friendly, it's environmental.
Maybe a
Come
little
on.
more approachable.
You guys don't think that's threatening?
Maybe the
So
thing.
what's the right balance between friendly and threatening?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then these are some of the other vehicles around. We have an HPD vehicle, West Chase Patrol, TMC, and even the Santa Center.
So Dave, if you go back to the 3 options from maybe a side, a couple of things I just point out. The bottom line is that all 6 of our trucks are white. So there's going to be a wrap of these vehicles no matter what we do. And so it is really, preference statement here. The first design that the graphics folks came up with was the 3rd one down on the bottom. And if we saw that more in color, that would be a lot more tonal, a lot more silver, maybe more stainless steel leaning. Well, number 1 tried to be a little bit more aggressive. Mr. Chairman, on the front end look at this, it's black, kind of traditional police cars, state trooper, whatever you'd like to say. So we are comfortable with any of these. We'd really like to get your thoughts on this. The graphic on the side, we think, speak to our branding. But if you find that unacceptable, I'd love to hear thoughts.
I'll vote for the bottom one, and that the phone number is the most readable, and it seems to be the right mix of friendly steel and impressive black.
Can you interrupt? I mean, I know you always have HPD in them. Can you not put police anywhere on them?
We're not, you can't say you're police if you're not police.
But if there's an HPD in it, they're.
Yeah, but they're not in
No,
their official,
They're off duty.
they're not in official capacity. This is, to say you're police, it's really, the organization has to have a police. And so we try to get as close to that as we can without violating, we're not police. And in fact, we want people to call 911. We don't want them to call our number. Our number is there as a secondary, although we get called first a lot, believe me. But we're not 24 hours, 7 days a week. Although we are on the street, and I do receive calls sometimes during the weekend or at night that something needs to go by and take a look at what's going on. And so we have, we've expanded, you approve us expanding hours. We're trying to patrol more constantly south of Westheimer, north of San Felipe, and the San Felipe to Westheimer section, basically assigning a vehicle to those areas so they don't even leave those areas. It's been hard to get additional officers. City is paying a pretty hefty price overtime right now. We've had to raise our rate to $40 an hour, while the officers can make 55 working overtime for the city. So, but this is good city work, and we're filling up those positions. But this is just a response, and I mean, this is where we think, from a point of view of branded for this area, and to try to look more police-ish, right? This is what we offer. There are a million solutions, but this is the one that we wanted to bring forward.
And are they only operated by police, off-duty police?
They are only driven by HPD officers with HPD handheld radios. They won't let us have radios or computers anymore. Historically, we've actually had HPD computers in our trucks, but that was probably 10 years ago.
And we do have other officers on the ground, like county and sheriff's.
But
department.
if
But
you're
in the
driving
truck,
a truck, if you're driving a patrol truck, you are an HPD officer.
Are they uniformed?
They are in uniform, yes, sir. And we continue to look for ways in which. The interesting thing about us saying, here's a number for you to call, or your manager of a property to call. It becomes then, who do you call and how do we find out who is actually in a truck that at that time? It's just very difficult. But the police officers are monitoring their HPD radios. And so they know if there is a call in the uptown area that they respond to it. They go in support. They're not the first guy through the door. They have been the first guy through the door a couple of times. When there is an event happening, they do what they are required to do, and that is to be a peace officer 24 hours a day. And they do that. If you remember, there was a car hijacked up in Northwest Houston. They came down the West Loop at rush hour, not smart people, but they were hijackers. They came down the West Loop, came off at San Felipe, jumped out of the car at San Felipe, and then spread out into uptown. And our officer found the person that was over at the taco place. And the guy had gone into the bathroom, and so the manager thought it was a little bit weird. And our officers checked out and ended up actually arresting the guy. So we are active, but we're not the first line of who you call. This is an attempt to be highly visible, highly branded, and authoritative. If we have not responded to what you're looking for, let us know.
It sounds like everybody likes a third one.
Thank you. Thank you.
Do the police cars say 911 on it, or what do they, I don't recall what they,
Do the police cars say 911?
I mean, should we
I
say
think so,
emergency
911.
911 or something?
I think it-
Yeah, you got some other police vehicles.
Yeah, behind her.
There's emergency. I think that's probably a good idea. What's the don't you go back, and see that non-emergency? And that's an HPD vehicle. That's not anybody's. So that emergency, that's a good idea.
It gets them directly to the right number.
Mhm.
If it is an emergency.
That's a
And
good.
then that, our number becomes a non-emergency number. We'd have our 713-621-2011.
So is West Chase running police or they're not running police?
They use police. Shannon, you actually.
Well,
visit
I
with them.
did talk to the guy that's over there, safety patrol. He was calling looking for budget numbers, but they do use HPD in their patrols exclusively. And
See, it says police on their car.
It does say that.
but yeah, it says West Chase, yeah, and police, but yeah, they do use HPD exclusively in their car.
Maybe if we're exclusive,
That makes me,
question.
I will get you the answer to how they get tied of that.
But I do like the idea of the non-emergency. number.
So are they also communicating with our off-duty police officers, because they're on the same radio?
They're in the same, they can.
They can. Okay.
So if they
like,
hear
we have
about-
like a major
Yes, you have something
situation,
going on.
they can go out there too. Okay.
So I think I think I need to find out how West Chase is using the word police.
Yeah.
And Deb, you had an opinion previously about our
Yeah,
perhaps our community base,
I'm
our
probably
jobs.
more, I'm a little more a police guy than a branding guy.
Yeah.
You know, so I think the purpose, what we're trying to get away with is more of a patrol or police thing. You got a lot of branding around, so, you know, weighing the two, I'd probably lean a little more towards the, you know, patrol police side versus. You know,
Do any of these three get anywhere close to that?
that's probably why I lean back to those other pictures you had. I thought,
Okay, back up.
To the east.
well, obviously, those are all. You know,
It's pretty-
TMC
the other ones are
police,
pretty
I don't know if
busy.
that's a real police officer or not, but that feels like a.
It is.
police officer to me.
They have their own police
And it's-
department.
and probably San Jacinto is police.
Yeah, they have their own police department too.
But, you know, you just feel like, you know, you get those.
It looks like option one looked to me to be more in line with the, more the police
Right, that
look.
whole black end.
Right.
Front end and all that sort of
Right.
things. Yeah, I think he was trying to create some arbitrary illusion. You were. And always smart as criminals, which is you're more police-ish.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with that. The more it looks like a police car,
This looks
the,
less police cars.
right, the,
More of a deterrent.
So y'all want
Yeah.
something stronger than even the top one in terms of looking policey.
Well, why can't you just make it look like the HPD, but instead of writing police, you write patrol? You put the same emergency number on it, and you put, everything looks the same, except for instead of police, it says patrol.
There, it has been quoted before that we never stop branding. And even, can I just say, go to the police car, go to HPD here. That's branding.
Right.
It's just what it.
But instead of saying Houston Police, you could say Uptown Patrol.
Well, that causes a different question.
I'm
Is it
going to
fine
find it.
or something or not,
That is, yeah.
Hey,
which we can't do.
hopefully you could read.
I want to be very careful
People
that the
read
people on,
after the fact, whatever they
And they
want.
don't think it's Houston.
there's a liability,
You don't want it to
there is a statement that we can't live up to when we put the word police on us. You can make an arrest if there is an active thing. If we get a guy who's walking in the street and he's making a nuisance of himself, we have to hold him until a HPD.
That's right.
vehicle
The,
comes.
the HPD officers,
So we don't run
that are
anybody
off duty,
downtown.
they can detain people, but they have to wait for a patrol unit to show up with a computer before they can actually make an arrest.
And then convince the HPD officer that it's worth his time to come out of service and take someone downtown.
And where do they detain them? If they're in the vehicle
In the
or?
car.
Okay, so you don't have like a security.
No.
Room.
Oh, we haven't showed you that?
It's a padded walls.
Okay,
So I
could you do something like this West Chase District? Could you put the upright brand kind of like
we
where
can,
they
we
have
can do,
theirs?
we can do anything that the board wants us to do. These are white trucks, we can wrap them solid black and we can put a logo on it. If you want to call that done, if you want to do something that looks more like HPD on the left-hand side, it's the same people who put stainless steel arches over Post Up Boulevard. It seems way, way underbranded, but that's,
So take the one on the right and put something on the back door too.
we'll come back at that. I tell you what, do you want us to come back or do you want us to try to make it look a little bit more like HPD and then call it done? And don't worry about my lattice work on the bed of the truck.
Do you want the lettuce work?
Look,
John, if you want, you probably ought to say yes.
we're-
Yeah.
If you want it, if you want it, say yes and.
Seriously, if you want it, say it, please.
I think the bottom one, rear, works very good to reflect who Uptown is. I don't think it, can you go, if we pull it behind somebody, it's gonna look like, it's gonna be all black.
Mhm.
On the side, you can tell when it's rolling through your parking lot, okay? It's pretty graphic. It's pretty bold. I would like to see us reflect our brand. if it's just you want a good patrol vehicle, we work for a board of directors and we're more than happy to make that happen. But this is kind of
I'll go
our
for
best
number
effort.
3 on this.
On my hard pitch,
Your hard pitch,
Why don't we have just a quick show of hands, who would vote for number 3?
And where would you put the emergency?
Or-
911
or-
would be on
we
the-
probably put the.
This has nothing to do with
the
letter.
911.
Or who wants the all black?
Pure all black.
Black would-
Yeah.
Yeah, who wants the all black?
I could probably go that.
Yeah.
I mean, I probably would go more black.
Okay.
That's 2 new members.
I don't even know that I can vote.
I don't think I can vote yet, but I like the all black.
Why don't
We
you
have
bring
another
us-
all black.
why
Yeah, I
don't you
like the all black.
Why don't you bring us back-
all black.
why don't you bring us back the one on the right with a little more uptown branded? Because you haven't
Yeah, 'cause
done
what
it with the
to do.
back door and the back fin, and let's
And-
abandon
and-
the lattice, because it is just too.
No, maybe it has a
friendly.
little silver lattice along with. all
And-
black.
And
We may go- we could go-
showing the non-emergency number and the emergency.
Yes, sir, that, it will.
But start with all black and then
if
don't
John
come too
Reed
far.
comes back with you, maybe some ghosted.
Yeah, that's okay.
Sure.
Because
There
the
you
police
go.
cars.
The lattice is at 50% right now, so it's sitting down to 5.
I think we have our assignment.
All right,
Awesome.
Jim,
thank you to the new members being certain.
and multifamily
May not,
guys.
may not be quite a bad.
Thank you all very much.
They got a big stake in this district.
Absolutely, and a great teacher. Now you're gonna go to number 2?
I'll continue. So the city of Houston, the administration had proposed installing some digital kiosks throughout the city of Houston. And there were some like City of Houston, others that really lobbied against installing these kiosks. But in May, just about a year ago, the city council approved. And these are the kiosks that will be installed throughout the city, including in Uptown. The initial installation is 25 kiosks. The city stands to make about $16 million up to in the next 12 years. It's installed in city-owned right-of-way, about 8 feet tall, 3 feet wide. And Ike, which is the company, it's Ike Smart City, is who they are working with. They're responsible for all repairs, maintenance, graffiti removal, and kind of promises a 24-hour response times for maintenance
They
calls.
can contractually promise a 24-hour response time.
These are some of the locations for the first 25. Downtown will receive 14, Midtown 4, Texas, the Medical Center, Upper Kirby River Roads will each get 1, and Uptown will get 4. Locations all on Post Oak Boulevard. 2 are at the northwest corner and southeast corner of Westheimer, Dillard's, and then just catty corner to Dillard's. The others at San Felipe, at Whole Foods, and at the Bank. And this is how they look on that. These are the locations. So, and Uptown does have some opportunities on these kiosks. They have rotating ads. We are given 1 of 8 of these rotating ads. They will be selling, I believe, 6 of the ads. The city of Houston will also have an ad to themselves. So they'll be selling 6 of the ads. Ads cannot be, tobacco, any kind of sexually explicit, any of that type of ad. And it rotates every 10 seconds. We have the option to include Uptown special events in their events little app. And we also have an opportunity to add a little more information to this kiosk that's real Uptown specific. So this is how the kiosk would look while it's sitting idle, while it's sitting passive. We could have a full screen ad here. Again, it rotates every 10 seconds. This ad can change out seasonally, monthly. It can say whatever we want it to say. We just send them the information and they'll put it out. When someone walks up and touches the screen, it becomes kind of like a small ad at the top, and then you get all of these app options: dining, shopping, hotels, special events. All of this information is populated through Google. And so we have it's just like getting on your phone and going to Google Maps. It will also populate by your proximity. So you push restaurants, it'll give you restaurants that are closer to Westheimer and Post Oak on that end, some that are closer to San Felipe. And and Post Oak on the north end. The events part of this, initially, it's all populated by Houston First. If we don't have our specific uptown events on the Houston First calendar, they don't know about uptown events. We have the opportunity to include information about uptown specific events. And those type of events we have on our website. And we push through social media. So we have the option to do that too. And then we have the option to add little apps on here. One that could say Waterwell Park or Memorial Park. If somebody pushes that little button, it gives them a page and tells them about whatever it was we put up there. So there are a few other, let's see what I have left. Oh, and of course we have one down at Uptown Park.
I thought there were some down there already.
Right, and so this is basically the same size and feel of the ones that are coming soon. Some of the other features of these kiosks, they have an emergency button. If you activate that button, it'll give you a two-way communication with someone. It actually locates you and it will start recording footage of where you are.
Oh, wow.
It's also in about 12 different languages. There's a photo booth if you want to take selfies with this thing and just take selfies with this thing. And they've already started the foundation for the first kiosk, and that's the one right here on the southeast corner, southwest.
The good news is
Northwest
they hired a contractor that we had historically used, knows kind of our standards and knows where our utilities are, et cetera. So
And Daley, this is a for-profit business that's negotiated with the city. And if it succeeds, this is a thriving long-term thing. If it doesn't succeed, is there an exit?
I believe they do have an exit. I'm not sure how many years. Is that 12 years? John, do you recall? I apologize about how many years the city has with this, but yes, and after the first year, they'll come back and reevaluate and then install the remaining 100 or so.
So we get 4 to start with, and that may grow depending on the initial year success or failure of the project.
We have, we're getting 4.
We're getting
they
4 to
already
start with, but
have-
it might grow.
it could
grow.
Okay.
And it's at no cost to the district, right?
That's right.
And no revenue to the district.
That's also true.
They get in that.
I
So
just want to make clear,
And I-
what we
and I-
get and what we don't get.
Right.
We get the beauty.
Of having a billboard.
Delia's
10 seconds.
presentation said the administration proposed this. It was very broadly and aggressively fought by Scenic District and other good folks. And the administration won. It's city of Houston right away. We're only blessed that Westheimer is FM 19, what is it? 19, whatever. It's Farm Market Road and you can't put it there. It's good. It is claim to fame that it is pedestrian oriented, but if you'll notice, it's about 3 feet from the curb. And they're only putting it at high vehicle locations, not necessarily high pedestrian locations. So
The market will tell.
So what does that mean? What are we supposed to conclude from that?
Stay tuned.
No, I'm just curious.
I think that it's the only way they're gonna make money is if they're selling ads for automobiles to look at.
Right. It's more like a billboard for a car than it really is for a person walking.
That's exactly what it
Yes,
is.
you can walk up to get the directory.
But that's not really what it's
But
target
the
audience is.
advertisements are, right.
It seems like.
And it's so close, it could cause.
So in other words, the city wants to do this.
The
And
city
would
has a
appreciate-
right of
I
way.
would appreciate very much our support.
They didn't ask for our support.
We've just been updated, Mr.
So we don't get to be approving
No vote
this,
is necessary.
we get to be joined.
It's just, and let me say that I think ultimately the real question to the board of directors, we were given an opportunity to quote unquote put our logo on these, and I said no.
I agree.
I stopped branding at that time. I don't want it to appear as us doing it. The
We
second
said
thing,
no, thank you.
yeah, it is. And then the point being is that what I think Delia does have an ask, that we have the opportunity to provide some information. And that is to every whatever, 80 seconds, have something about Uptown going on.
Every 10
And I
seconds
think
now.
that it is not our choice that this be here, but if it's going to be here, if we can get any value at all out of it, I'd suggest we do that. And we just want to make sure the board is comfortable with it. I will say that there is nothing even close to public right of way that does not get hit by automobiles.
Yeah, these things are 3
We
feet.
are constantly replacing all kinds of items.
Especially when it's bright.
3 feet away.
And so
Draws your
I
eye
just
right
want,
to it.
I just want to say
Attention to the car.
that it's going to be difficult, and we're going to have to make sure that when they do get hit, that they are then removed and repaired in a timely manner, and if they aren't, to,
And that's a fair point. I've noticed some retail signage lingering a long time from traffic damage, so we gotta be on top of that.
Which
That's
one
an
of
issue.
the uptown patrol cars would best hit that thing?
The one with the grill in the
Black on black.
front. The one with the grill in the front.
Mr. Director, I'm sure you are joking. But, yeah, I can, even without anything negative,
I can tell you that my conversations with, I think you listed 8 locales where those were being located, and distribution was rather interesting if you looked at it. Most of the people in those locales were not in favor of this. And many people wrote letters saying they were not in favor of it. Those objections were overturned. And so,
$16 million.
over
Over
12.
12 years.
so $1 million a year, that's not nothing.
The other 6 ads, is the city gonna work to get those filled, or is that?
Ike sells
I'm sure Ike sells it.
Okay.
They're giving the city and Uptown, or city's giving Uptown
Yes.
one of their 2
Yeah,
ads.
yeah, I'm
Okay.
curious, is it a fixed fee they're getting paid, or is it variable as a percentage of the revenues? Do you know?
I don't know that information. But I think if it's like any ad sale, they can, any duration that they'd like, any amount that they could collect.
I've read the contract detail, and I don't think it's like a triple net. I think it's basically you get X. And if they don't submit it,
their
they're looking for, I think, a couple $1,000s.
So
Well, that is more.
a screen,
And regardless.
Yeah.
sometimes in urban settings, there's graffiti or damage. What kind of thoughts do they have about how long it takes them to get that back to something?
24
They
hours.
say
they
something
said.
like
24
hours, which will be breached pretty shortly.
The contract says 24 hours.
Okay, so that's been thought of.
It's real hard to do.
If they start to look on.
We will try to monitor, and I'd encourage all of you, more eyes help, that anytime you see signs of neglect, call us and help us make sure somebody's attending to it.
Should we call the emergency number or the non-emergency?
I don't think 911's gonna do
It's not-
Are there any plans or discussions about putting something to protect them, like bollards or?
I think they have to lose them twice over first before they figure out they need to do that.
They wouldn't want to block the visibility.
Yeah, no, I just have domain, we ended up having to put some
Oh,
bollards.
absolutely, yeah.
Not bollards, but boulders.
Yeah.
Boulders
The
were
bollards.
lower, but still would keep a vehicle.
Well,
stop
Short
a
little
vehicle.
stout bollards would work just
Well,
fine.
that's true too, but boulders were.
To,
Boulders really work.
And they look better.
Not to shortcut really valuable discussion, but Delia's got one more item.
Oh, okay.
I think,
Andrew does.
and we
Andrew?
maybe
I'll be
squeezing the other meeting if we don't move on. We
that's-
can always come
we
back
don't
if there's
wanna do
time
that.
left.
Delia, it is, you're in the wrong one. We need to see a park.
Okay,
That's UDA.
yeah, but,
She just gave us the UDA presentation. That's good.
yeah, this is it.
Ribbon cutting, we're looking at a March timeframe, setting a date. We'll ribbon cut the eastbound lanes. The eastbound lanes are the lanes going to downtown, westbound, in case So we'll open eastbound lanes in March, Lord willing, and then open westbound in April.
Andrew, is that March 31st and April?
I would say
Mid-March and
Mid-March,
mid-April is the objective? Okay.
And then we're still scheduled for, right now, the critical path schedule shows us in September. I'm saying October for actual substantial completion. But then I've just got a few pictures. Here's a drone shot looking towards downtown. We've got the east mound kind of in the foreground, west in the foreground, east in the back. But what I wanted y'all to see here is the trail starting to come together now. Parking lot here, prairie here. This is about 100 acres. It's the first time y'all seen this. Here's our east side. So as you're coming out, this would be an eastbound lane. And you'd be coming out this way. This is how the.
David, would you go to that
elevation's gonna
photograph
work.
that would show the wall?
Yes.
I think toward the end, and they'll understand what this is. Keep going. Keep going. There.
So as you're coming, you'll be coming out this way, you'll go through this arching wall here, and you'll have the berm coming up. It gives you the feel of going through a mountain or a hill.
There's one on the east entrance and on the west entrance as
That's
well.
correct.
Is there anything in between the two tunnels?
There is, but it's not as pronounced as this.
Okay. Can you everybody see that on the left there?
And then we've started work on the
That's
north
fine.
side here. So we had a 50,000 cubic yard pile here. We've redistributed it. As soon as the east and west bound lanes are open, we'll come over, we'll eliminate this detour highway, and then we'll finish the park.
Andrew, do we lose the rest of those trees?
We lose these trees here and up, kind of up there, and you'll still have some in the
Some of
center.
them, okay, just curious.
But short answer is yes, sir.
That's my thought.
But all that road's gonna go away then?
Yes.
And that's just
Yes,
gonna be grass or whatever?
That's
Are
right.
you
It'll become farm to farm.
demoing that road or you just covering it?
No, demo.
Demoing, okay.
So in general, the slope on the north side is about equal to the slope on the south side.
It's almost a mirror.
So it gives you some sense of how that will spread out there. Now, Delia, if you would back up, just a moment, I'm sorry, I just think that shot is so good.
Just showing the hydro seeding and kind of an idea what this is gonna look like when it finishes. There's a close-up of the erosion control. And then there's a side shot of it. We call this the Tierra here, which holds back the mound of the earth. And then we've got a safety, you'll see a safety fence on top of each one of these. The pedestrians have to go through two fences to actually jump
fall
off.
off of it.
Only two.
Somebody will.
They're camouflaged and they'll actually have foliage behind them, planting, so you won't see it.
It's interesting to look at this. This tapering of this, the end here was a very expensive detail. It could have been just if you had take a piece of pipe, cut off the end. That's one design option. But the design team really lobbied for this lead, if you will, this sort of, what is it, like a 45, 30 degree layback, if you will. And it really is beautiful. It's really.
And it is structurally over-designed. Well, no, seriously, it was peer reviewed, it was redesigned again.
It's
How many times, Andrew?
It's about 5 times over.
So I think we can, if someone said, well, how strong is that? I said, well, it's been really heavily designed.
This, we end up spending about $3 million more to achieve this look.
But that's just on these ends. Just that piece.
I think it's. I
But
mean,
it's
I-
good. It looks beautiful too.
You see what they were trying to do.
That's cool.
And this was all precast, so none of this was poured in place except for the Tierra. except for this piece.
Well, except for that part, yeah. which is
These were
stored in
all,
place.
these were all done offside shipped in, 50,000 pounds each.
Mr. Chairman, that's all we
That's all
have.
we got.
All right, if there's no further discussion, we are adjourned. Thank you for coming, helping with the quorum.
Thank you.